What was the most horrific game of truth or dare you've ever played? Story 1. I got dared to answer the door and pay for the pizza we ordered completely naked. Whatever. Easy, right? The doorbell rings, I strip down quickly, and I grab the cash to pay for the pizza. But the pizza guy was not waiting at the door. It was the mom of one of the girls at the party. She had come to pick her up early, only to find me at the door naked. Her husband was a church minister. The party ended pretty quickly when she called all the other parents who were called to pick up their kids. Good times. Story 2. Had to go to the bathroom and show my dick to a girl. Told her I wasn't doing it flaccid so she would make out with me. Well played, sir. Story 3. My girlfriend and I took a set of Jenga blocks and etched the word truth or dare into the blocks, and a number that corresponded with either the truth sheet or dare sheet. Each sheet was a list of truths or dares, all of them mildly humorous on paper, but devastating in reality. Questions like, when was the last time you faked an orgasm? If you haven't or can't recall, fake one now. Or, what's the strangest thing you've ever masturbated with? If nothing unusual, smell the finger of every person in the group and describe the smell. Dares like, demonstrate your favorite sexual position with a person on your left. Or, let dead seagulls tattoo your right thigh. I have almost no tattoo experience. Among the truths and dares, there were 5 group choices in each category. Any truth or dare could be declined by a shot. And if anyone intentionally knocks over the tower, they have to lick the left nipple of all same-sex players until the nipple is erect. Loser has to take a shot and do a group choice dare. This game nearly broke up 3 couples. In the picture above, the girl eating the sun chip out of my ass is the guy on the right's girlfriend. The questions were too real, too raw. Resulted in people walking out of the room. But at the same time, it was like a train wreck. They kept coming back. At first, you declined so many of them by taking a shot, but after 7 shots, you're answering what the sluttiest thing you've ever done was. Right next to your girlfriend who decided that she's going to truthfully answer the last time she faked an orgasm. Shit was brutal. Everyone ended up naked and in the snow. All relationships are still intact, but in the way that people who survive a disaster sometimes stay in touch. Story 4. Playing with a couple of buddies and some random girls at a party. One of my friends dares one of the girls to get fisted. She's revolted, but another one of the girls perks up and says, "Ooh, pick me." My buddy takes the girl up to a room. They come back in like half an hour. According to him, after he fisted her, they tried to have sex. Tried, because that girl's vagina was too wide. Wonder why. And neither of them felt anything. We still bust his ass by calling him Fister Roboto. Story 5. When I was 13, a girl dared my older brother to show his butt. He pulled down his pants, bent over, and gaped at his asshole. That's how he understood mooning. At the other end of the spectrum a couple of weeks ago, I was stopped at an intersection and noticed an SUV in the other lane full of probably 19-ish-year-olds. A guy in the backseat stuck his ass out the window at us while the driver shouted to us, "He's mooning you." I was shocked and appalled that the guy's pants were still up. They thought that was a mooning. All I could see was corduroy bulging out the window. Damn ignorant kids these days can't even properly moon someone. What the fuck? Story 6. Playing in a group of girls, all around 13 to 14 years old. The most kind-hearted girl there with the sweetest face, cute little curls and freckles, dared to take a dump on a plate in front of the rest of us. No hesitation. Just giggles, "Okay, where's the plate?" The girl whose house it was then proceeds to keep said plate in the basement freezer for a couple of weeks. For science? Until her mom found it. I don't know if they kept the plate. Edit for clarification. Occurs to me now that took a dump might just be an American colloquialism. It means she took a shit, or a crap, or poo. By no hesitation, I mean the daree did not hesitate to agree. There was a good 10 to 15 minutes of, "Oh man, are we really gonna do this?" Going upstairs to get a plate, giggling, and the girl starting in a corner with her back turned. I believe she did like a half poo on the plate, then went to the bathroom to finish up, and clean herself up. Some of us watched more than others. I think I got a glance for a few seconds and decided that was enough for me. I was also a teenage girl at the time, still a girl. I don't think she would have done this with the guys present. There is no good or psychologically sound reason to have kept the plate. Story 7. Wasn't horrific. 4 a.m. and 2 guys including myself and 2 girls, one of them was deaf. Clothes came off, girls made out with each other, get dared to bang the deaf girl, and bang the deaf girl. It was good, but my god, the moans. I'll never forget those moans for as long as I live. They echo in my soul. Edit. Lots of people are asking if the moans are good or bad. The word I'd use to describe it would be frightening, but it didn't kill my boner, so that's good, I guess. Jesus. I have a friend that talks like she's deaf, speech issue or something. She has always wanted to fuck my brains out, and is surprisingly really fucking hot. I just can't get around her talking. You had me at echoes in my soul. I'll probably call her this week. Story 8. I was dared to climb a friend's apartment balcony in nothing but boxers and sneakers. I executed this task with top Spider-Man-like efficiency until another inebriated friend stepped out and began to piss off the balcony, not knowing it was just below. Needless to say, anti-piss instincts kicked in and I dropped 2 stories down to the parking lot. My profanities were heard echoing for miles around that night. Story 9. When I was in 6th grade, I was dared to let these 3 girls tie me spread eagle to the bed, clothed, and do anything they wanted for 10 minutes. I thought they would do something sexy, but instead they spent 10 minutes dropping different objects onto my nuts, from varying heights. One girl dropped a heavy tape dispenser on me, which made me cry. It's not delivery, it's de porno. Story 10. I was playing Truth or Dare with a girl I liked on my trampoline when she dared me to eat a dandelion, one of those white nasty ones that the wind hasn't blown away yet. A couple of rounds later, I dared her to kiss me. She said nope and made me come up with a new dare. I just ate a f***ing dandelion hoping I would get a kiss playing this game. I was 25 when this happened. I thought you were 10 at the time, until I read you were 25. Story 11. I was tied to a chair in only my underwear, covered in peanut butter, and they put me about 6 feet from the door and ordered a pizza. He wouldn't open the door when I was yelling at him that it was open. After about 3 minutes, he finally did and was pretty terrified. I told him the money was in the pocket of the jacket hanging up, and that he could keep the change. He asked if I needed help, and I said, my friends will come back eventually. I'm just really hungry. The dude set the pizza in my lap, which I thought was okay, until he left and it started to burn really bad. I was okay. My friends all came out hiding after he left and just busted up laughing. There's a video of it somewhere. As it turns out, I would work at that same pizza place for about 2 years. The guy who delivered it worked there and didn't recognize me until I asked him about his weirdest delivery story. I laughed for a while and told him it was me, and I did it because of a dare. He didn't really look at me the same ever again. Story 12. It wasn't a game of truth or dare, but something kinda like it. You put one person in the middle of a ring of people, they ask questions to the people around them. The object of the game is for the person in the middle to guess the rules of the game. Everyone else already knows the rules, so the rules of the game are pretty easy. Number 1, when asked the question, you answer to the best of your ability for the person next to you. Number 2, if the person answering for you gets it wrong, you say bullshit, and the side that you're answering for reverses. Instead of answering for the person on your left, you go right. So needless to say, things got strange right away. The girl in the middle was getting creeped out and confused. I remember she asked me, "How big is your penis?" And I answered for the girl sitting next to me, "I don't have one, duh." So she's getting really frustrated. Finally, she turns to her brother, who is also playing. She asked him, "Have you ever had a sexual fantasy about me?" He takes a very slow look at the guy sitting beside him, turns back to her, and completely deadpan, he replies, "I'm having one right now." We had to stop playing after that. Story 13. I was 12 or 13. I was at my step-aunt's house. There were a lot of young adults around, and then my aunt. She asked truth or dare, I said truth. She asked me if I wanted to sleep with her. Edit. I actually said, "Ew, no," or something like that. I was blunt and immediate with my response. Edit 2. She was in her 30s or 40s, I'm guessing. Edit 3. I seriously didn't expect this much attention, and I never really told anyone that story before. Nothing happened. She was kinda gross. She was the only adult in the circle, and I was the oldest person in the circle. She was kind of entertaining the kids and teaching some how to play. Nobody in the game really understood what she was asking me. "So your aunt is a pedophile." Story 14. I never really had a horrible game of truth or dare, but one time in the 8th grade, my friend dared a friend of mine to give me a lap dance, and as it was happening, I quietly whispered in her ear, "That's what daddy likes," and she got off and ran. You silver-tongued devil. Story 15. Shenanigans that started with me kissing a girl down there ended with my friend and his sister kissing each other back there. We were sober. No one talks about it 15 years later. Wait, are you saying that your friend and his sister ate each other's asses out? Story 16. I was right at the beginning of middle school. We were starting to play Truth or Dare at birthday parties. We were playing a variation that I think in the US is called X Minutes in Heaven. Anyways, I think it was my turn for the heaven thing. I was so rooting for the beautiful girl I had a crush with. Instead, it gets down to a really weird-looking girl I wasn't attracted to at all. In my head, I'm really let down. This girl wasn't attractive at all. Suddenly, the girl starts bawling and runs out screaming something along the lines of, "Not with him." Yeah. A similar but not as horrible situation happened to me in 6th grade. Luckily, my best friend was there to comfort me by saying, "Wow, what a fucking bitch." It was the first time I had heard someone my age use that language, and I was like, yeah, she's a fucking bitch. Story 17. We, 3 guys and 3 girls, were all in the hot tub at this chick's house, and I get dared to go mash my dick and balls up against her parents' bedroom window. Granted, it's like 1 a.m., and the whole house is completely dark, so I thought it would be no big deal. Get out the hot tub, run over to the window, drop my suit, and smash my junk up against the window for a few moments. Then in the reflective light of the pool, I catch a glimpse of her parents sitting right inside the window, watching us from the inside. They didn't even blink, just watched me. It was terrifying. Like, I saw them for a split fucking second as the light passed over the glass, just inches away from my mashed up dick on the other side of the window. Something from a horror movie. I gasped and ran back to the hot tub, got back in, and just sat there in complete silence. A couple of minutes later, her dad comes outside laughing, hands me a beer, and then reminisces with all of us for a minute about how crazy shit he did when he was a kid. I've never felt a shock like I did when I saw their faces. It still haunts me sometimes, but it all turned out better than expected. I was 25. Story 18. There was this farm party when I was around 15 years old. Everyone was told to bring different types of alcohol or they'd regret it. Guess who forgot to bring alcohol? So the person who didn't bring any alcohol had to be subject to one dare. No pussying out, no limits. Basically, I had no choice or say in the dare. I could only agree and do it. So, in the middle of the party, the host, girl who was the same age as me, shouts that it's time for Brocco Taco to do the dare. She gets all her girlfriends together and they plan the most embarrassing, exposing, devious dare ever. You have to let us blindfold you, tie you up, and do whatever we want for 15 minutes. Edit. Here's what happened. It felt like they were putting cold water on me. They told me it was ketchup, mustard, and other shit like peanut butter. Eventually, they started to get pervy ideas, and soon enough, my pants are being pulled off. I feel the cold water again, but on my schlong. I freaked out, mainly because they whispered to take pictures. I'll never know if they did, but it was embarrassing as hell, and I was really nervous about nudes circulating or something. Someone said, "We still have like 10 minutes left, what else can we do?" And I hear my friend's voice say, "Lick it off." I literally thank God for his existence right then and there, because without him, I wouldn't have gotten a BJ that night. Forget to bring booze and get punished with a BJ? Nice. Story 19. Was at my boyfriend's cottage with another couple, 2 female friends, and one guy whose girlfriend wasn't there. We were drinking pretty heavily early evening, typical cottage behavior, and a game of truth or dare ensued in a dark bedroom. I don't know if you've played T or D in the dark, but it's even more uninhibited than regular type. The worst dare I had to do was use a beer bottle as a dildo. Things then got out of hand. One girl was dared to make out with another, blah blah blah, the rest is history. Basically, a teenage makeout orgy ensued. Everyone just made out with each other and groped each other. No guy-on-guy occurred as far as I know, but everything else was fair game. The 2 couples were not just hooking up with each other, the guy who was in a relationship, whose girlfriend wasn't there, was all into it too. It was a whirlwind of hormones, and we got up the next morning and never spoke of it again. The guy whose GF wasn't there is now married to the girl, and she has no clue this ever happened. Story 20. What was the most wonderful game of truth or dare that I've ever played? Well, okay, since you asked. I was at this girl's house that was a friend of mine. There was her, 4 of her female friends, me, my brother, and another guy. We did all the standard truth or dare sort of things. The girls dared us to dress up like girls, and we did, and they took pictures. It was a good time. After a while, my brother and the other guy had to leave. There I was, alone with 5 girls, playing truth or dare. I was 16. They were between the ages of 13 to 17. We decided to ask her mom if she could get us some beer. She said sure, and went and got us a case. Her mom was pretty cool. After a while of drinking, talking, and playing around, one of the girls suggested that we take the game up to her room. We were all up for it, so we went upstairs to her room. We continued playing the standard truth or dare game for a while. I was excited for it to get to my turn to take a dare. Eventually, it got back to me. I said, "Dare." The girl said to me, "I dare you to get naked, right here, right now." I said, "Okay." I stood up and took my shirt off, took my pants and socks off, and I was naked. Yes, commando. The girls all sort of giggled to each other, and the one who dared me to get naked said, "Wow, I didn't think that you'd do it that fast." From there, they all progressively dared each other to do things to me. They very carefully kept it from ever being my chance to say truth or dare to any of them again. But that's cool, because they were daring each other to do things to me. Eventually, one girl decided that she needed to make a dare that involved the whole group of girls. She asked the girl who lived there if she had any icing or whipped cream or anything. She responded that yes, she did in fact have some icing downstairs. So the girl went and got the icing, and dared all the girls to smear the icing all over me and lick it off. And they did. I laid down and they smeared the icing all over my chest, stomach, junk. They licked it and sucked it off. All 5 of them. It was a pretty good time. I tried to convince them to have an orgy with me, but only one of the girls was down with it. As the night went on and we got all tired, the other girls ended up wandering off, and I and the one girl had sex for several hours. So there, I hope I answered your question. That was the most wonderful game of Truth or Dare that I've ever played. Oh, shit, wait, you asked for the most horrific game I'd ever played? Oh well, fuck it. That's the only game I'll ever care to remember. Story 21. My friend owned a Ouija board but was so terrified of them that he never let his friends play with it. So my buddy and I came up with this plan to trick him into letting us use the board during a sleepover. Naturally, we started to play Truth or Dare because how else are you going to peer pressure an 11-year-old to do something he doesn't want to do? When it was his turn, he chose Dare, and we dared him to allow us to all play with a Ouija board for 30 minutes. The board was quite boring, but we ended up moving the piece to spell death to get a rise out of our friend. Anyway, my friend freaks out and runs into the bathroom, where he coincidentally died from a ruptured brain aneurysm moments later. The whole experience was quite shocking. I took it a lot better than my old friend, who struggled with mental health issues and horrible nightmares for years after our friend's untimely death. We ended up drifting apart shortly after, as I found his statements unsettling. You can only hear, "He blames us," or "We'll pay for this," so many times before you get tired of a person's crazy ramblings. Unfortunately, his mental illness got the best of him, but at least he's at peace now. That's so messed up. I don't even know where to begin. Story 22. Throwaway for this. This is about I never, by the way, not Truth or Dare, but here it goes. When I was around 17 to 19, I had this really cool thing going, or at least I thought it was cool, that whenever I ate a girl out, I'd add a lollipop, the confectionery, not my dick, to the equation. None of the girls ever complained, which obviously made me think that I was the greatest cunnilingologist under the sun, that my lollipop thing was a new Kama Sutra. At some point, I met that really awesome girl, and you guessed it. I used the lollipop strategy once again for old time's sake. She enjoyed it tremendously and asked me to do it whenever I ate her out. Sometime later, the relationship was maybe a month old at that point. My friends and I went to a festival, and because we had a spare ticket, I asked the girl to join us. So one evening we were sitting around the fire, beer, barbecue, etc., when someone started a round of good ol' I never, and when it was the girl's turn, she made the mistake to say, "I never received oral sex that included the usage of a lollipop." I'll never forget the tone of her voice and the "it's our sexy secret" thing look in her eyes when she uttered the fateful sentence. I'll also never forget how her facial expressions changed when 6 to 7 girls started drinking their beers simultaneously.